Dear students, now we are going to see the subject linear integrated circuit. The subject code is EC3451 and the topic is audio power amplifier. On completion of this audio power amplifier, the students can able to list the different audio power amplifier and monolithic integrated audio power amplifier LM380. Audio power amplifier or the power amplifier required to raise the current level of the incoming signal. The power amplifier amplifies the audio signal. To achieve this requirement, a discrete and monolithic power transistor is used at the output of the operational amplifier. Classification: Class A. The current flows continuously for entire cycle of input signal. Amplifiers operate during 360 degree of input signal. Class B. Half cycle, that is 180 degree of input signal is amplified by a single transistor. It has a limitation of crossover distortion. Class AB. To reduce the crossover distortion, transistors are biased at their cut-in point is at 0.5 volt. The Q point and input signal are selected to obtain the output signal more than 180 degree but less than 360 degree for full input cycle. LM380 power audio amplifier is a single IC audio amplifier. This one is a 14-pin dual inline package IC. So the symbol of this LM380 audio amplifier is shown in figure B. So the National Semiconductor introduced LM380 audio power amplifier. It has an ability to produce a power output of 100 watt. The audio amplifier amplifies the signal received from source or transducer and gives it amplified signal to the output device. Features of LM380: output is automatically self-centering to one half of the supply voltage. Unique input voltage allowing the input to be ground referenced or AC coupled. Internally fixed gain of 34 dB. The output short circuit proof with internal thermal limiting. The low quotient power drain. High peak current and input impedance. So the entire circuit diagram of LM380 audio power amplifier is shown in figure. This circuit consists of number of transistor input stage, output stage. So the input stage that has a slave current mirror circuit and the output upper stage that consists of a current mirror circuit and the non-inverting amplifier in the second stage. The LM380 has a dual inline package with heatsink. The internal circuit comprises of 4 stages, that is PNP emitter follower, differential amplifier, common emitter and quasi-complementary emitter follower. The input stage Q1 and Q2 drives the differential pair Q3 and Q4. The input is direct coupled to the inverting or non-inverting terminal of operational amplifier. The transistor Q7, resistor R3 and plus VCC that establish the current in NP differential pair. Q3, the transistor Q3, Q4, the transistor Q7 and Q8 forms a current mirror. This establishes the collector current of Q9. The differential amplifier output Q6 is connected to the base of Q9. The common emitter stage is formed by transistor Q9 with diode D1 and D2 and Q8 as a current source load. The capacitor C between the base and collector of Q9 provide the internal compensation and establish a cutoff frequency of 100 kHz at 2 watt for 8 ohm load. The output stage is formed by NPN transistor Q10 and Q12. Q11 and Q12 form the compound PNP transistor. The resistance R1 and R2 provide a DC return path for input bias current. So the amplifier can be operated with either input terminal open. The overall internal voltage gain is fixed at 50. The gain can be increased by using a positive feedback. Applications of LM380: it can be used in audio power amplifier, bridge power audio amplifier, intercom system. Audio power amplifier, the circuit configuration is shown in figure. So the output is hearable with the help of a speaker. Bridge power audio amplifier. In bridge type audio power amplifier, the gain value is improved by using the bridge configuration. Intercom, the audio amplifier that can be operated in intercom. The intercom is operated in two different modes. In talk mode, it have to the listened voices delivered in talk mode, and listen mode, it have to listen the data. Video power amplifier or a wideband amplifier. The video amplifier is a wideband amplifier. This is fabricated in a dual inline package. So this is a IC LM733. This one is a 14-pin IC. It has an ability to provide a frequency bandwidth of 120 MHz, and it offers an input resistance of 250 kilo ohm. The external frequency compensation is not required, and it provides a common mode rejection ratio is of high at higher frequencies. The selectable gain value was 10, 100 and 400. The IC is placed in a magnetic tape system or a disk file memory. So these are all the practical applications of this video amplifier. The internal circuit of video amplifier is shown in figure. So the internal circuit has a differential input and output. Therefore, the single-ended and balanced input signal may be connected for amplification. This IC consists of two cascaded BJT differential amplifier and a balanced emitter follower stage. By the use of internal feedback loop, the wide bandwidth is achieved. The input is given to the transistor Q1 and Q2. The transistor Q7 provides the current sink biasing for the first differential stage. The negative feedback path is provided by the resistor R3 through R6. The second stage is formed by transistor Q3 and Q4 is driven by the balanced output available from the first stage. The transistor Q9 provides the current sink bias, and the resistor R9 and R10 act as a load resistor for the second differential stage. The second stage output drives the two emitter follower stage realized by Q5 and Q6. The transistor Q10 and Q11 act as a current sink bias for emitter follower. The external gain adjustment for the amplifier can be done by modifying the amount of series feedback connection in the first stage. The external interconnecting resistors G1, G2 and G1 G2 that provide a negative feedback from the output terminal to the balanced input terminal of the second stage through the resistor R11 and R12. The diode connected to the transistor Q8 along with R8 and R15 provide the overall biasing of the circuit. The driving current sink biasing Q7, Q9, Q10 and Q11 for all the stages of the amplifier. IC 3040 video amplifier is a monolithic video amplifier which has a cascade amplifier configuration. The input stage is formed by a compound connection of common collector and common emitter configuration with Q1, Q2 and Q3. The three transistors are operated in common collector and common emitter and common base configuration respectively. The combined connection of all Q1, Q2 and Q3 is in turn emitter coupled to the symmetrical configuration of Q4, Q5 and Q6 to form the differential input stage. The common collector stage formed by Q7 and Q8 provide the low impedance differential output for the circuit. It can accept a single-ended or the balanced input signal. The transistor Q9 provide the current sink biasing for the differential stage, and the resistor R3 and R4 act as a load resistor for the differential stage. The diode D1 and D2 with resistor R10 provide the DC biasing voltage for transistor Q2, Q3, Q5 and Q6. The bias voltage for current sink transistor Q9 is applied by the voltage divider using the resistance R7 and R8. By using the bias voltage and resistor R9, the quotient current of Q9 is obtained. When a single-ended input or the balanced input is applied, the input will be split evenly between the two halves of the circuit. The voltage applied to each half of the circuit is Vi by 2 and the corresponding output is V0 by 2. The full swing output voltage of V0 can be obtained by taking a balanced output, and the output of V0 by 2 can be taken from the single-ended output corresponding to the gain of 55. So this IC3040 video amplifier with its cascade gain stage configuration and its emitter follower input and output stages exhibits a large gain bandwidth product. So gain bandwidth product of the video amplifier is 3 dB bandwidth and for a 3 dB gain for a frequency of 55 MHz. Fiber optic insulated circuit, in fiber optic integrated circuit, the input of the fiber optic circuit that has a optocoupler, so that is optoelectronic device which is a optocoupler. So this convert the electrical signal into a light signal. This is mainly, this converted signal is applied to the processing circuit. So this processing circuit that provide the electronic output, and this processing is again passed through the optoelectronic conversion for transmitter. So this transmitter is also provide the output in terms of light waves. So this combined the functions of optical detection, electronic function, switching and amplification and light transmission. So there are three main components in the fiber optic communication link, that is the optical connectors, then transmission path and optical receiver. Connectors, receivers. This one is the pin diagram of the fiber optic IC MAX A3738. This one is a driver IC. This one is the circuit configuration of MAX 3738. This one is that act as the modulation act as a driver circuit for the fiber optics transmitter link. Possible quiz question: which of the following of audio amplifier is suitable for consumer application? LM380. Thank you.